All right, we're on. Good evening, folks, and thank you for coming to this inaugural event. And thank you guys for being here. This is really, really cool. This is right up our alley. We've got all sorts of alleys around here, by the way. So this is right up one of them. I'm Mike Murphy. I'm the station manager here at KHOI, and we're really proud about all the stuff we do on the air and off the air. As you may have just heard, we're recording this for future broadcast. One thing, as a station manager, I feel a little confident that when you're doing these old radio shows from the 40s, we don't have to worry about the language, probably. But so yeah, we love the idea of live radio theater, and so this is an awesome opportunity, and we're so excited to be able to do this. I'm going to pass around a sign-up sheet to get on our email list, and there's a donation basket outside that we split the proceeds with the group, but they get the lion's share of it. And we've always got some great events coming up here, and we've always got some interesting things on the radio. So I just want to remind you to make 89.1 a preset on your FM dial, and I'm really looking forward to this. Is there anything else I need to? Restrooms up right around the corner, the ever-important restroom query, so just keep making rights, and you'll find yourself.
Please have your phone turned off or it'll be on the radio.
That's right, yeah. That's right. So set your phasers to stun, I guess. So anything else? Okay, I'm going to turn it off to these guys, and let's give it up for Vagrant Fear.
We good to go? All right. Vagrant Fear Productions and KHOI proudly present Gnarly's Night on the Radio with your host, Gnarly.
Come along, my friends. Step through the creaking door and enter the world of tonight's spooky story. An adaptation of the radio play Make Ready My Grave, which was originally broadcast as part of the Inner Sanctum Mysteries. It's about a boy and a girl who've just been married, a piece of colored string, an open grave, and a hangman's noose. That train is the Southeast Limited, long, sleek, and powerful, ticking off the miles on the humming rails, a masterpiece of 20th century mechanical perfection. Nothing about it to suggest lurking hate, or fear, or superstition, or death. But let's take a look into Compartment A, Car 17. John and Betty Loomis, just married, are going for their honeymoon to John's ancestral estate.
John, I'm so happy. How soon do we get to Loomisville?
In about an hour, Betty.
Just think, I'm married into one of the oldest families in the state.
I hope you'll be very happy, darling.
Oh, I will. You do love me. Don't you, John?
Of course I do, baby. I'll always love you. Always. No matter what happens.
What do you mean, no matter what happens? What could happen? John, something's bothering you.
No, it's nothing at all.
You're hiding something. There's something you haven't told me.
It's nothing, Betty. It's nothing to worry about.
You don't want to tell me?
No, not now. Maybe later.
Why are you playing with that piece of yellow string?
What?
You've been playing with it ever since we came onto the train.
Gosh, I never noticed.
I watched you. You've been tying a knot in it.
A knot? Good Lord, I must have tied it without knowing what I was doing.
You've tied it into a noose. A hangman's noose.
I don't know where I picked it up.
Well, it's only a piece of string.
Yes, it's only a piece of string. Betty,
What is it, John?
here, take this.
A gun?
Take it.
But why?
If I should ever try to... If I should ever try to strangle you,
John!
please listen to me. If I should ever try to strangle you, promise me to use that gun on me.
What are you talking about?
Wilmersville. Next stop. Next stop.
Oh, this is where we get off.
John, what's this all about? That piece of yellow string? And now this gun?
Put it away, Betty. And remember what I said. Don't ever forget it.
Why is it so dark here?
This is just a way station. The train only stops here to let us off. Otherwise, it goes right through.
Oh, I thought Loomisville was a big town.
Well, it used to be 100 years ago, but now there's only the Loomis estate.
Are we far from the estate?
About 2 miles. Old Herman GAULT should be here to pick us up in the station wagon.
Herman GAULT?
He's the handyman. There's been a GAULT working for the Loomis family for the last 150 years.
John, I don't like it here. Dark and that wind?
Where the devil can GAULT be? I wrote them what train we were taking.
I'm right here, Mr. John.
Oh, GAULT, you frightened my wife.
I'm sorry, ma'am, if I scared you.
Oh, that's all right. It was just the way you spoke so suddenly out of the darkness.
If you'll follow me, I've got the station wagon back here.
John, he doesn't like me.
GAULT? No, that's just his way. He's very devoted to the family. Wait till you get to know him.
I don't think I care to. John, he's driving too fast. It's so dark.
Don't worry, Betty. GAULT knows this road like the back of his hand. We'll be there in a few minutes.
I'm frightened. Johnny, please tell me why you gave me the gun.
No, I can't tell you now, Betty. Maybe after you meet Uncle Everard.
John,
What?
what's that in your hand?
Where? Oh.
Another piece of string. I read one this time.
Oh, I must have picked it up in here off the seat.
You've knotted it into another hangman's noose.
GAULT,
Yes, Mr. John?
this piece of red string, did you put it here?
No, sir.
Then how did it get here?
You ought to know.
Yes, I ought to know.
GAULT, why are you stopping here?
We're home, ma'am. This is the entrance to the Loomis estate. I've got to get out and open the gate. I'll be right back.
Betty, I've got to get out too. I've got to see for myself.
See what, John?
You stay here, Betty. Stay right where you are.
Wait a minute, I'm coming too.
Go back, Betty. Get back in the car.
Mr. John is right, ma'am. You shouldn't go with him.
Take care of her, GAULT. I won't be long.
GAULT, where's he going?
That is the Loomis family cemetery.
What does he want to see in there in the middle of the night?
He'll tell you himself, ma'am, in due time.
No, I'm going to find out right now.
Better not, ma'am. Better come back.
John, wait for me.
Betty, I told you to stay in the car.
I'm going with you. I want to know what there is in that cemetery.
Get back in that car.
I'm your wife now. I have a right to know what this is all about. I'm going with you.
All right. If that's the way you feel about it, but hold on to that gun I gave you. Keep it in your hand all the time.
John, why?
You'll find out soon enough. This is the gate of the family cemetery. All the Loomises and their wives are buried here.
Oh, it's so shadowy. White tombstones. They look like ghosts. Hold my hand, John.
No. Just hold on to that gun.
John, whose grave is this? With the high tombstone.
My great-grandfather's, Stuart Loomis. He founded the Loomis estate. This is my grandfather's grave, his wife. There's my father, my mother.
And that's all?
That should be all.
What do you mean?
Come over here. This is what I came to see. This is what I've been afraid of.
John, it's an open grave, freshly dug.
Yes, Betty, it was just dug tonight.
But who is it for?
Betty, darling, I'm afraid it's for you.
Well, love has certainly gotten Betty into a frightening situation. You know, dear friends, Vagrant Fear Productions knows how often love and fear go hand in hand. Take Josh Oren's play, To Hell and Back for You, for instance. It's a story about some couples, a coffee shop, and the apocalypse. And it's happening Friday, February 14th and 15th at 7 p.m. at the Stoner Theater in Des Moines. Come see the show. It's sure to be a hell of a good time. And now, let's hurry back to our date in a graveyard. Remember, with poor Betty, whose husband has just told her he's afraid the freshly dug grave is for her.
John, what do you mean? Who dug this grave for me? Who?
If I told you, you'd think I was crazy.
No, you got to tell me. If I'm in danger, I have a right to know. Was it GAULT? Your Uncle Everard?
No, at least I don't think so.
His wife Christine?
Betty, do you believe that a ghost could dig a grave?
A ghost? Do you mean I'm in danger from a ghost?
Oh, I told you you'd think I was crazy.
John, why are you looking at me like that?
I don't know. Betty, have you got that gun with you?
No, I left it in the car. What good would a gun be against a ghost?
There's the station wagon, still waiting at the gate. But I don't see GAULT.
Maybe he went up to the house.
GAULT? Where are you?
Hello there, John.
What?
What's up?
Uncle Everard. What happened to GAULT?
He came up to the house. Said you'd gone into the cemetery, so I thought I'd better come down.
Oh.
Is it there?
Yes, it's there. A freshly dug grave. Uncle Everard, this is my wife, Betty.
How are you, Betty?
Hello.
You saw the grave too, Betty?
Yes, and John says he thinks it's for me. I'm afraid I don't understand all this.
You haven't told her anything yet, John.
Well, just a little. I couldn't bring myself to.
I think it's time you did. More tea, Betty.
Thank you, Uncle Everard. I'll have a little more.
You, John?
No, thanks.
Too bad Christine is ill. She's upstairs in our room. But I hope she'll be better by tomorrow. You can see her then.
Maybe.
What do you mean?
That grave out there? Maybe it'll be filled tomorrow.
John, don't you think it's time you kept your promise to tell me what this is all about?
You tell her, Uncle Everard.
Well, Betty, there's a ghost in the Loomis family. That's it in a nutshell.
Oh, I see. And it was a ghost who dug that grave, hmm?
I know it sounds mad, but after 150 years, we Loomises have come to the conviction that it can't be anything but a ghost.
150 years? You mean...
John's great-grandfather, Stuart Loomis, settled this strip of seacoast under an agreement with the colonial governor. There's his picture over the fireplace.
He doesn't look much like you, John.
Stuart Loomis was a hard man. There was a French privateer in these waters who made a lot of trouble in those days. Gaston Leroux, who sailed the seas with his wife, Antoinette.
But what has a French pirate and his wife to do with that grave?
Stuart Loomis captured Leroux and his wife, and, under the authority conferred upon him by the governor, had the power to hang them.
You mean the woman, too?
Yes. He hanged them both, on a gibbet where our family cemetery now stands.
Oh, how terrible.
Before he died, Gaston Leroux laid a curse on the Loomis family. He swore that just as his wife was hanged, so would all the Loomis women die. He swore that he would come back and dig a grave for the wife of a Loomis in every generation and furnish the noose by which a Loomis would strangle his own wife.
But that's incredible.
A short while afterward, a fresh grave was found beside the gibbet where LaRue had been hung. That night, Stuart Loomis's wife, John's great-grandmother, was found hanging by the neck from the eaves of this very house.
And Stuart Loomis?
I told you, Stuart Loomis was a hard man, and he had made many enemies. There were many who hated him deeply and bitterly. He was arrested and tried for the murder of his wife, convicted and executed.
Now you know the secret of the Loomis family.
But John, that still doesn't prove there's a ghost.
No, that one incident doesn't prove it. But it happened again when the next Loomis married, John's grandfather, and to the next Loomis, John's father. Sometimes a year after he married, sometimes 5 years. But the curse never fails.
It's happened in every generation?
Yes. And now John Loomis has brought a new wife home, and there's a freshly dug grave waiting in the family cemetery.
And I'm next?
I don't know, Betty. Maybe that grave isn't for you.
What?
Maybe it's for Christine. For my wife.
This is all ridiculous. A ghost couldn't dig a grave or make John strangle me to death. Uncle Everard, you can't believe such a legend. It can't be true.
Maybe not, my dear. But the graves of the strangled Loomis women are out there to prove it. There. This is your room, Betty. I'll have GAULT call you at 8 tomorrow morning. Good night.
Good night, Uncle Everard.
Good night, John.
Good night, Uncle Everard.
This is such a big room. It's so gloomy.
The whole house is like this. It lies gloomy and sullen under the Loomis curse. Oh, Betty, I love you so much. We'll beat the curse. Together.
Let me go, darling. I want to change my clothes and wash.
All right. There's the bathroom over there.
I'll only be a minute.
All right, darling.
Oh, it's a lovely... Ah!
Betty, what is it?
John, quick!
What?
Look, hanging from the shower bar.
What? A hangman's noose.
It's a real one this time. Of rope.
Ready to hang someone.
Who put it there?
It's the Loomis curse. We can't get away from it.
No ghost could have hung that rope there.
Let's call Uncle Everard.
All right.
Have you got the gun with you?
No, it's in my handbag.
Well, get it.
But John!
Get it, I say.
All right, John. Here, I've got it.
All right. Now keep it with you all the time. And don't be afraid to use it. On me if necessary.
All right, let's get your uncle.
This is his room. I wonder if I ought to wake him. It might upset Aunt Christine. She's sleeping.
We've got to wake him. Better knock harder.
Well, it wasn't locked.
Call him.
Uncle Everard? Uncle Everard? He doesn't answer, but there's a light in their room.
Push the door further open.
All right. Well, there's nobody in the room. The bed's empty. Uncle Everard? Aunt Christine?
Maybe in the bathroom. The door's open. Ah!
Betty!
John, look!
Aunt Christine?
She's hanging by the neck.
She's dead.
It's the same kind of noose as in our bathroom.
Uncle Everard hanged her. It's the Loomis curse catching up with us. Well, GAULT? Any trace of Uncle Everard?
I searched the whole house, basement to attic. Not a sign of him.
Then he must have gone out. Come along.
But it's raining.
We've got to find him, Betty. Come on.
So dark out here. How will we ever find him?
I have a flashlight, ma'am. Here. Look.
What?
Fresh footprints in the slush.
Oh, they must be Uncle Everard's. They lead down towards the cemetery. Come along, GAULT.
Here, Mr. John. You can see for yourself. The footprints lead right to the new grave.
But why did he come here?
There's the answer, Betty. The cross at the head of the empty grave. Throw your flashlight on it, GAULT. There's something written on it.
It says Christine Loomis.
Betty, what is it?
Look! Over there!
Another grave. He's dug another one.
There's a cross on this one, too.
Does it say anything?
Yes. Yes, it does. It says Betty Loomis.
John, sit close to me. The portrait of Stuart Loomis over the fireplace looks so real. It frightens me.
Now remember, Betty, whatever happens, hold on to that gun, and don't be afraid to use it tonight.
Where's GAULT?
He ought to be here soon. He went to look for some weapons.
Here I am, Mr. John.
GAULT, you always frighten me, coming in so quietly.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Here, Mr. John. These ought to be pretty good weapons.
Scythes?
Yes. I had them sharpened only the other day. They could slice a man's head off in one stroke. Take one, Mr. John.
Thanks, but I'd hate to use it on Uncle Everard.
If he shows up tonight, you'd better use it.
Maybe he's come back into the house through the back way.
Well, all right. I'll give it another go. I'll go through the house again if you'd like. This time I'll start with the attic.
Be careful, GAULT.
I will, Mr. John.
John, I don't like him.
GAULT?
And I don't think he likes me either.
No, that's not true.
Darling, what's that?
Must be GAULT in the attic.
Help! Mr. John! Help!
He must have met Uncle Everard hiding up there. Stay right there, Betty, and hold on to that gun.
John, be careful.
Don't worry, just take care of yourself.
John, come back. I'm frightened. I'm afraid to be alone. There's nothing to be afraid of. I mean, I have this gun, and if anybody comes... The lights went out. Who's there? Who's in this room? Don't come any closer. I have a gun and I'll shoot. I can't see you, but I'll shoot at the sound. John, help! A rope around my neck. Let go or I'll shoot.
It's not loaded. I took the bullets out when you left it in the car.
GAULT?
Yes, ma'am. It's GAULT. Mr. John is busy up there in the attic with the body of Mr. Everard. I killed him too. And when Mr. John comes downstairs, he'll find you. And I'll cut him down in the dark with my scythe.
But why? Why?
There were others besides the pirate LaRue who hated Stuart Loomis. Like my own great-grandfather, he was in the service of Stuart Loomis, and he hated him. When LaRue laid the curse on the Loomises, my great-grandfather decided to make it come true. It was he who strangled the wife of Stuart Loomis, and through the years, the GAULTs, from father to son, have handed down their hate.
You're mad.
Maybe. I'll tighten the noose and finish you.
Betty, where are you? Why is it dark in here?
John!
Betty!
John, look out! It's GAULT! He has a scythe.
And so have I.
John! Who is it?
Oh, darling? Darling? Where are you?
Here, John! Here! Oh, darling!
Betty, we finished forever with the Loomis curse.
Well, dear friends, our evening's over with the usual quota of corpses you'll come to expect. Join us again soon for another episode of Gnarly's Night on the Radio on KHOI Community Radio. In the meantime, slither on down to the Stoner Theater and feast your eyes upon To Hell and Back for You. If you find your thirst for fear isn't yet sated, check out Vagrant Fear on Facebook and keep your 1,000 eyes peeled for other upcoming events. But for now, I'll escort you back through the creaking door. Until we meet again, good night. Pleasant dreams.
And we're out. Thank you. I'm going to take a second and have the cast all introduce themselves and their roles, please, starting with Adam Beilgard at the far end.
Like you said, my name is Adam Beilgard. I played Uncle Everard.
My name's Adam Fast, and I portrayed GAULT.
My name is David Detlefs, and I am NARLY.
I'm Owen Nicolino, and I was John.
I'm Ellie Hilscher, and I played Betty the wife.
My name is Lewayne L, and I was, I guess, technically the director and in charge of Foley. And over here is...
Evan Detlefs. I was here to pretty much become a Foley as well.
Foley apprentice. We'll go with that. All right. So we said we'd open this up to any questions if the audience had any, either about old time radio or about the production itself. So anybody got any questions?
When are you doing it again? That's cool.
Thank you.
Soon, hopefully.
Soon. I mean, we this was our experiment into radio drama, and as Mike said earlier, it's something that KHOI hasn't really done, and they're quite excited for it. So if they think tonight was worth a second one, we can always come back. Lewayne has found a series of resources for Inner Sanctum radio dramas, and they are in public domain, so it's very easy for us to try and recreate them and do them as they were originally.
Well, minus the ads for Lipton soup and Lipton tea.
Camel cigarettes and all the fun ones from the 40s.
Well, that was totally fun. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. And it's
Thank
fun
you.
to see you doing it. Sorry, people out there in Radio Land. I'm curious about your backgrounds and what attracted you to be here tonight. And is this your first time doing radio drama for each of you?
Well, why don't we just start down at the end again?
Oh, well, when Lewayne asked me to be a part of this, I said yes.
Is that a true story?
We've worked together on other projects before, and I've actually done live radio shows before. So I was glad to jump into this opportunity when he did ask.
I was here because my lawyer said I had to be here. No, I'm just joking. But this is actually my first radio drama here at KHOI. But however, this is my second overall radio drama because back in 2020, when a little thing called COVID struck, I was in Miracle on 34th Street, the radio show at the Playhouse with Adam Beilgard. So it was great to finally work with him again. And I am a voice actor who has received training in commercial and animation with some of the most amazing coaches on the planet. And I saw this and it looked really fun, so I auditioned, and here we are.
Well, Vagrant Fear is my brainchild. So personally, I have a degree in communication in theater, so I've done my stint in times on the radio, but it's been a long time since I've done any live radio or radio dramas, and I've always loved the thought of them and enjoyed listening to them. So with Lewayne's help, that's why we're here.
I'm actually here out of fear of being kicked out of the other Vagrant Fear show I'm in. No, I'm not. Lewayne asked me to be here. I have never done a radio drama before, but I have had other voiceover experience, so I figured this would just be another good thing to put on the belt and also something fun to try out that I haven't done before.
I have never done this before. I studied at Drake, and I was part of the broadcasting system there, working with the radio, but I've never done a live drama like this before, and it was really fun, so thank you all.
And in case any of you had any questions, yes, voice acting is acting. There, I said it. That's settled.
Just in case we were concerned. I had not any real experience with radio drama other than listening to, I don't know, thousands of hours of them. The closest I had, because I am the right age and ethnicity, I have had a podcast at one time that was narrative stories, and so I had a little bit of experience messing around with adding sounds and music to the background of them. Beyond that, this is my first time on the radio as part of a drama.
I'm here joining my dad. I wanted to see what like Foley work was like, plus just the idea of seeing like a radio drama in action just seemed honestly really cool just to watch. I hope to one day do one as well, because it honestly looks really fun.
Anybody else?
So how can somebody get in contact with you if they want to be part of their fun?
The best ways, major two ways, are we have a website, which is vagrantfear.org, or you can find us on Facebook, Vagrant Fear Productions. We have our own page. And also, if you wanted to just email me directly, it's vagrantfear@gmail.com. So really, if you remember the words Vagrant Fear, you'll find us. Just even a Google search will tend to get you. But either one of those three, either vagrantfear.org, Facebook, or at Gmail, we respond pretty quickly to any of them.
And how did you come up with the name?
Vagrant Fear came from a combination of my love of Lovecraft, and one of my favorite of his mythos creations was Nyarlathotep, who is also known as the Crawling Chaos. So that was kind of an inspiration for a company that when I started it in 2019, we didn't have a home, and we still don't have a home. So we move around and do things. And that's when, since we're horror-based productions, that's where the fear came from, and the fact that we have no home, that's why we're vagrants. So Vagrant Fear Productions is really what it is. That's what we are, is we travel around to whoever and wherever will have us, and we will put on a variety of different type of horror shows.
It's also what we all feel whenever we walk into an audition.
Also true.
So what are some of the other types of shows that you do?
As of now, we have 3 variety shows, 4 stage plays, one of which is currently in production, and 1 hour-long feature film, and now 1 radio drama. We did survive the pandemic by creating a YouTube channel where I just invited friends and people I knew to come on and do dramatic readings of either Lovecraft or Edgar Allan Poe, and I just posted them on Facebook for free, just to kind of keep us alive.
Which is kind of what inspired me to suggest we do a radio drama.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, really enjoyed the show.
Thank you.
I was
Thank you.
wondering, what did it take to get this from just being an idea in your head to actually getting all these people in this room to...
That would be Lewayne. Lewayne put the seed in my head because, like he just mentioned, it was his idea. So, Lewayne, I'll let you take it since this was kind of your child.
Yeah, I asked David, "Hey, have you guys ever considered that? Because you did the readings during the pandemic." And he's like, "Oh, that sounds really interesting. You know, those are in the public domain. We could probably do something with those." Okay. So I found a script and I said, "Hey, I got this, and I can probably fix this fairly quickly to not even modernize it, just make it more acceptable for us to use right now." And he's like, "Great, why don't you do that?" Okay. I said, "Hey, did you want to cast that?" "No, you can get it." "Okay." So that's basically how it happened. I found the cast. Some I've worked with before, some I hadn't. Some I've known for a long time but have never met. So that was kind of nice. And then I had a ton of sound files left over from when I was doing a show, so I just kind of combed through them and tried to find places to make them work. And the music all comes from a Creative Commons site run by Kevin MacLeod called incompetech.com, I believe. And that's, as long as you mention him, you can use his music. So now I've mentioned you, Kevin.
Yay.
And then I just kind of pieced it together and tried to get a script figured out, and spent way too much time, I think, as far as my spouse is concerned, just listening to sounds and trying to get them stitched together. So that's basically the path. And then in the interim in that space, David had mentioned, hey, we have this, we're building a relationship with this radio station, so we could actually do that as a real radio show. And I'm like, oh, all right. So again, you go do that. All right, I'll get it figured out.
Yeah, as Lewayne mentioned, well, he mentioned his spouse. First off, that's where my concept of delegation came from. Like I said, we started in 2019. It started as an experiment. I had been doing a lot of local community theater, and I'd reached a point where, nothing against anyone, but they just weren't doing what I was interested in doing anymore. So I put together a crew, a shoestring budget, and did a two-night event in a disused factory where we did 4 very short, like 15-minute plays in the course of a night. We did it 2 nights in a row, and I was expecting 20, 30 people to show up between both nights. Both nights we ended up with over 100 in total. So it proved to me that the concept of horror-based entertainment is something that might be interesting. So I thought it might be a fluke. We went to do another one that following February. Everybody knows what happened in February of 2020. So 3 years later, we come back, and the desire is still there. But up until, I would say, last October, I was doing this on my own, out of my own pocket, and I wanted it to survive. I realized one of the best ways to do that was switch to a nonprofit organization. So that actually has opened up some avenues for us. It's also brought in, to do that, I brought in and created what I call the Council of Elders, which is basically our board of directors, of which Lewayne is one of them, and that is why he got this job.
Delegation.
So, but that's what brought us to KHOI, because I actually came here to see a friend's book reading here, ended up talking with Lynn, and from there it's like, yeah, this sounds interesting, and talked with a couple others, and that's what led us to today. Really, it's an experiment after experiment to try and expand what we do and grow.
Well, let me just say, this has really been great. I've really, really enjoyed it, and you're all incredibly talented, including our sound effects guy and our sound man over here as well.
Thank you, Mark.
I've been really enjoying it. And I wanted to mention, you mentioned your scriptwriter, Josh Oren, and he's a valued volunteer here at KHOI. He puts together some of our classical programming on Sunday, and so he's a behind-the-scenes kind of guy and a very, very valued. So, so he's a great guy. What I was gonna ask, so this is something that was in the public domain. Did you guys find the script somewhere, or did someone have to actually transcribe it off of the recording, or?
What I found, I'm guessing, are probably transcriptions, but there are, because they're public domain, everybody has them. They're all over the internet. You can find collections of them. People are more than happy to sell you full CDs of them. And some of them, some of the sites are run by people who are really into old-time radio. And so they have either acquired copies and scanned them, or they have just transcribed them, which is fine for what we're doing. And, if I run out of scripts, which I think is probably unlikely, I will then start going through the catalog of stuff I have and probably start transcribing it. Anybody else? All right.
I think we have a show.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Yeah,
Next, your pay's on the table up here.
oh. Oh, darn. I forgot to send you my rates.
We'll pay you in
Yeah.
taco chips or something.
Well, it's just cool. Well, this kind of thing is really cool because a lot of movies we love nowadays were inspired by those radio dramas back in the 30s and 40s, and that's why I jumped on this because, like, I'm a big Indiana Jones fan, and that was inspired by radio serials.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just it's really cool to find out where everything comes from.